Good day, everyone. It's good to be back. I hope that everyone is doing well. We're just going to be studying a little bit today as we do every Sunday. I'm sorry that I have been gone due to my health, but it is good to be back. Hello, Alma. Hello, hello, Taylor. Hello, Taiwan. I didn't have a chance to boot up the game because I was running behind today, so I just threw on some Spotify stuff. But we will do that now. It is good to be back. I am so happy to see you guys. Things not running entirely smoothly today, but that's okay. Tis one of those days. To be honest, I have been really bad about studying. I haven't been studying that much either, because I've just had so much health stuff going on that I just have been not doing much of that either. Haven't been streaming, haven't been studying. I've just been trying to focus on my health. So it's nice to get back in the swing of things. Yes, sometimes that is needed, Ty. Sometimes that is needed. So, we've got the flashcards that we're going to be doing, and we've got the reading that we're going to be doing for today. We are still on the assessments, which is 29% of the exam that I will be doing. A new update for you guys is that I am not taking my exam in May anymore. So I actually had to reschedule it. So I needed disability accommodations to extend a length of time of my exam and to allow me to have my inhalers in my exam room. And they couldn't apply those accommodations to an already existing scheduled exam, apparently. So I had to reschedule my exam. I am still waiting to hear back from them before I can reschedule it. So I don't know if it's going to be another 6 months out or if it's what's going on, basically. I just know that I need to study still and keep on top of it. But it's interesting, all right. Gotta love protocol. Well, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I hope my mic is working all right. There is sometimes when I update OBS, it switches everything on me. So that's good. Thank you. I'm just making sure because I had like tons of updates today since I haven't been doing anything. And I was like, oh no, it's going to mess with all my settings. It's going to change everything. It's going to be weird and wonky. All right. So let's get started. We have 35-minute increments. We're gonna do it for 4 times today, with 5-minute short breaks and a 10-minute long break at the end. Hopefully you guys get lots done, and you just take this time to relax and enjoy yourself as well. So let's begin. Hello, Ribby Frog. Hope you're doing well. And welcome in anybody else. Okay. I cannot focus on reading more because that was a lot of content. So we're just gonna take an early break. That was too much for my brain to handle getting right back into it. However, I did move on to the next section, which was interventions in client systems. So that was cool. What's everyone up to today? Got Ty practicing on Darktable, editing some photos. We've got some spammers from Kick. Oof, Taylor. Dishes are my least favorite chore. I do not envy you. Evie. My cats are hissing at each other. I'm gonna be trying to not fall asleep. I am very tired. Studying always makes me more tired. There's just like something about it. I think it's all the brain power it takes. And the fact that it's boring. But you guys make it less boring. That's good. I need to make Ty to go fetch me an energy drink. You being a butthead. Hush, Carter. Are you terrorizing your sisters? Take this moment to stretch. Which I hardly ever do. I, in fact, did go to grab me an energy drink. Because he's wonderful. I swear I took my ADHD meds today, but it really doesn't feel like it. Know about you guys, but the weather here is super dreary. Like it's a little like chill and a little rainy, overcast. Not really the type of weather that you want to be out in, but not really the type of weather that you'd enjoy being on the porch in and like reading a book and having tea in either. Because like I'm the type of person that likes sitting out like in the rain on my porch and like reading a book and like enjoying the smell of the rain and having like a warm cup of tea. Maybe that's just me, but can't really do that because it's not like raining hard enough and yeah. tie. You want to be outside enjoying bad weather, but it's not bad enough. Yep. And it's not good enough weather to be enjoying good weather. Alright, time for recap. So, I read about the impact of stress, trauma, and violence. And this was in the interventions with client systems since the last section on assessment. I really only had to read about the perpetrators of abuse, neglect, and exploitation, which I really don't want to talk about on stream. That's just a huge can of worms. So we're gonna not really talk about how perpetrators come to be, because that's how it was. What it talked about is how perpetrators come to be, and how, like, things to watch out for, risk factors, and how there's static risk factors and dynamic risk factors, and then stressors and poor skills and family issues, and then interventions to deal with that. And I just don't really want to go further in depth with that. So, we will discuss other things, because I feel like that's a bit dark. Interventions, the section about interventions with client systems makes up 26% of the exam, whereas assessment made up 29% of the exam. The impact of stress, trauma, and violence can happen in any situation and leaves the client feeling overwhelmed and alone, and could be traumatic even if it does not involve physical harm. I think this is really important to acknowledge, because it also depends on the personality of the person, as well as how much stress they have going on in their life, and any so external factors, and it talks about how trauma is a subjective emotional experience. Meaning, to me, that just means that each person views trauma differently in their own way. So, yeah. And then, for trauma happening, trauma is most likely to happen emotionally or psychologically if it is unexpected, if there is no preparation for it, if there is a feeling of powerlessness to prevent it, if it happens repeatedly, if someone is intentionally cruel, or if it happened in childhood. So those are like kind of like precursors um to what makes up something being traumatic. Uh, a good example, I feel, when I was in schooling, um, we spoke about um, different personalities and how, um, like, somebody who is more sensitive, um, in childhood can't handle being yelled at as much. Like, that is a huge stressor for them. And so it happening repeatedly, it's more likely to be traumatic than, say, somebody who has a less sensitive personality, who is more stubborn and hard knocks, who just learns the hard way and brushes it off and doesn't mind as much. Um, they're less likely to care about being yelled at. Not to say that they don't get upset, but like they won't get upset for as long, for example. And it won't be something that they dwell on repeatedly, that they come back to. Um, it won't be something that they try and confide in others about and try and make sense of to other people. Um, and so I thought that was really interesting because normally that's not really something that you would think of as being necessarily traumatic. Um, at least, um, at least people in my class didn't. um, and so, like the majority of us were like, really? Like we got yelled at? Like, what? And maybe it's just the generation the, of people that were in the class. I don't know. But we really didn't view it as being that big of a deal. We were kind of shocked that that could be something that could be traumatic to a child. But it can be if they're more sensitive type and more and if they have other things going on, like say they just lost a pet or something like that to adds to the possibility of trauma being developed. So yeah. The book spoke about trauma-informed care and how services should be based on understanding the vulnerabilities and triggers of trauma survivors and that of traditional service delivery approaches that may exacerbate symptoms or introduce re-traumatization. So, as a social worker, we need to be aware of things that could be triggers to clients and try and avoid those things. I think that comes with rapport when we get to developing a relationship with a client and we get to know a client, we then will over time come to understand their triggers and come to understand more about them. As a social worker, we need to be aware of practices and programs and environments that or organizations even that don't meet the needs of people who have trauma within our communities, and try and implement changes within our communities on a macro level, which is, as we've spoken before, even though it's been a while, macro just means on the community and organizational level. Develop those foundations for our community and our organizations within our areas to meet the needs of people who have trauma. Or to better provide trauma-informed care if they're not providing trauma-informed care. There are a lot of there is a lot of misinformation and a lot of stigma surrounding trauma and a lot of old belief systems, at least in the community that I live in, that exacerbate helping veterans and the homeless and the elderly. That have disabilities of any kind, really. And I think it's really important when you live within a community to really become aware of the discrimination that surrounds you so that you can speak up about it and not just let it exist. But it can be really hard. So. And I don't mean like actually like speaking up about it. There are different ways to speak up about it, like by taking action in different ways. If you're not comfortable actually talking. Because I know I'm not one to actually like confrontation or to like addressing issues. So I'm more the type of person to try and commit myself to resolving a problem by doing something to help improve a situation rather than actually talk about it. If that makes any sense. Though I know many people within my community who are professionals who actually hold conferences, who talk about it at conferences or educate other people, which is good because that needs to happen too. I just think that a lot of my community is not willing to listen. But geographically, each area is different. So getting to know like the area that you live in is really important too. Yeah. Hi, this town is a bunch of old people that tend to only care about themselves. That's one way to view it. Crisis intervention theories is something that I read about in this section of the book as well. As part of crisis intervention, social workers plan and conduct a thorough biopsychosocial as well as spiritual and cultural lethality and imminent danger assessment. I know, that is a mouthful. So we have to consider the biological, the psychological, and the social implications of the client. And then we have to consider their spiritual impacts and their cultural impacts. And then if there's any lethality or imminent danger surrounding them. And we have to assess that with each client that we have during crisis interventions. What this does is support the client in any way that they are stressed, essentially. So it mitigates the impact that the amount of stress that they're under will have on them. This type of assessment considers medical needs and medications, as well as the current use of drugs and alcohol, and internal and external coping methods and resources. Assessing lethality is the first and foremost thing when doing this assessment. One of the things that I liked to lead with in school when doing this type of assessment was to ask people if they were having any suicidal ideation. So any thoughts of self-harm is essentially what that means. And then my next question was always if they were having any thoughts of harming others. So. That being said, people can lie. And school is not the best environment to necessarily learn how to do assessments because most of the people that we do assessments on are classmates. And so it's not generally, the assessments aren't very complicated. They're very straightforward. And people don't make them complicated. So I sense that the assessments that I do when I get into the actual field is going to be entirely different. Real world versus schooling is entirely different. I know this to be true. My internship was a very good example of this. Other things that you do during crisis intervention as a social worker is establishing a collaborative relationship, but that should be a thing that you're doing with a client no matter what anyway. Identifying major problems, including crisis precipitants, which just means, like, what is the last straw for the client? What is the tip of the iceberg? What is, the final cookie to crumble, so to speak. So that you can prioritize the problems in terms of what the client wants to work on first in the order of importance. During crisis intervention, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of focus and exploration on feelings and emotion and delving through that. And you have to be able to really focus as a social worker on self-care and on grounding yourself and on feeling comfortable with exploring feelings and emotions of other people. I know that I would struggle with this. This is not something that would be my strong suit right away. I get uncomfortable when emotions are high. I struggle with that. That is something I struggle with. And so crisis intervention is not something that I'm looking to do. But as a generalist practitioner, there are going to be times where that is going to be needed, where it's going to be unavoidable for me, and I'm going to have to do it. So, that being said, hopefully I have a guide or a mentor or a person above me who is much more experienced and willing to lead me and help me so that I'm not on my own in dealing with said situations, especially at first. Crisis intervention plans also include implementing an action plan, which has to do with shifting from crisis to resolution. And then you have to make a plan to follow up. So, really, that's not any different than the normal stages of generalist practice, in the sense that like it's worded a little bit differently, but in generalist practice there are 7 steps. So the first is engagement with the client. Then there's assessment of the client. Then there's planning with the client. Then there's implementing the plan. Then there's evaluating the plan, which you often come back to repeatedly. Like you circle back to. And then you'll go back to implementing and then evaluating and kind of switch back and forth between those oftentimes until things kind of stabilize or you progress forward. And then it'll go to terminating, and then it'll go to the follow-up with the client. And termination is when you're letting a client go. And follow-up should only be to make sure that the client is doing well on their own and that they don't need you anymore, or to refer them to other resources and other people that they may need to stabilize them further. So, really, crisis intervention has 7 steps as well, and they're all pretty much the same, except for they want you to kind of plan and assess at the same time. And that's because crisis intervention has to be done much faster. It's much because it's a crisis. Like, it's an emergency. So it has to be done faster. You do things a little speedier. But yeah, so, but essentially it's really no different than the other steps that are generally taken. Just a little bit faster paced. And in coinciding with other parts of it. The book spoke about the indicators of traumatic stress, which, if he gave 13 common ones to look out for people who may be experiencing traumatic stress or violence. If they are having addictive behaviors related to drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, or gambling, having the inability to tolerate conflicts with others or intense feelings, belief of being bad, worthless, with value of importance, having dichotomous all or nothing thinking, having chronic or repeated suicidal thoughts or feelings, having poor attachment, having dissociation, having eating disorders, self-blame, intense anxiety or panic attacks, severe depression or just depression, self-harm, self-mutilation or self-injury or self-destruction, and unexplained intense fears of people, places, or things are all indicators of traumatic stress and violence that people should look out for and be aware of. Oh, excuse me. And that is as far as I got Um, it was more in depth, but we have like 10 seconds anyway, so I think we did a good recap. Even though I was saying a lot of ums and uhs. Yeah, it does take it back. It does take a few to get back in the swing of things. But honestly, I was doing that before. I'm just not very good at feeling comfortable with talking about these sort of things. I get a little nervous and anxious because I don't feel like I'm an expert. Um I don't feel like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert yet. I haven't been in the field. I do have the schooling, but schooling only matters so much. I still feel like I retained like barely anything from it. As I'm like trying to struggle through studying, I feel like this this studying from the book is like nothing that school taught me is in this book so far. I'm like, what? What is this? It's like glossing over everything. It's not even like touching on anything, but like it's not triggering any memories of oh yes, I remember learning this before. uh Good break though. Good break. We are going to be doing flashcards next, so there's not going to be a quiet time study for the rest of the stream. Um, but you guys are, of course, welcome to do your own thing. Mute me if you want. So on and so forth. But struggle is going to be real though, because these flashcards are challenging for me. I am the worst at flashcards. Okie dokie. Identification. The way that somebody views themselves, I think. I don't know. It says universal mechanism whereby a person patterns himself or herself after a significant other. Plays a major role in personality development, especially superego development. So I don't think I got that one. Systemic desensitization. Well, I definitely don't know this one. That sounds like gibberish to me right now. Oh boy. And of course it has like a huge major paragraph that goes with it. How am I supposed to remember these? An anxiety inhibiting response that cannot occur at the same time as an anxiety response. An anxiety producing stimulus is paired with a relaxation producing response, so that eventually anxiety producing stimulus produces a relaxation response. At each step, a client's reaction of fear or dread is overcome by pleasant feelings engendered as the new behavior is reinforced by receiving a reward. The reward could be a compliment, gift, or relaxation. Positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is like being given something to encourage behavior. So like a treat. It says increasing probability that behavior will occur, praising, giving tokens, or otherwise rewarding positive behavior. So I got that. Endocrine system. Oh, I hate these. The ones that have to do with the body always confuse me. Does the endocrine system have to do with, not lymph nodes, white blood cells? I'm so confused right now. The endocrine system is made up of a group of glands that produce the body's long-distance messengers or hormones. Oh, I was totally wrong. Hormones are chemicals that control bodily functions such as metabolism, growth, and sexual development. Ugh. It's okay if you guys are laughing at me. I'm laughing at me. See, the flashcards are more like what I learned in school. This stuff is more of what I've learned in school. Negative reinforcement. Oh, bugger. It's the opposite of positive reinforcement. I don't know it. Behavior increases because a negative adverse stimulus is removed. For example, remove shock. Positive punishment. I don't know this one. These confuse me. Presentation of undesirable stimulus followed by behavior for the purpose of decreasing or eliminating that behavior. Hitting or shocking. That is positive punishment. So positive punishment is hitting or shocking. And then negative reinforcement is removing positive punishment. Okay. Negative punishment would be removing positive punishment. Or sorry, positive not positive punishment. Positive positive reinforcement. Negative punishment removes positive reinforcement. So it would remove the treat, the dessert, or the whatnot. Removal of desirable stimulus. Okay, so yeah, I got that one. Biofeedback. Don't know this one. Any treatment aimed at reducing the attractiveness of a stimulus or behavior by repeatedly pairing it with an adverse stimulus, such as treating alcoholism with antabuse. Extinction. I think part of my problem is just not having confidence. Because maybe I know some of these, but I'm just not confident in them. Or since I haven't done it in a couple of weeks, I'm forgetful. You lose it. You don't use it, you lose it type thing. Um, extinction. Still not coming to my brain. And that was a whole lot of ADHD. Withholding a reinforcer that normally follows a behavior. Behavior that fails to produce reinforcement will eventually cease. Flooding. I know I don't like flooding. This one I do know. This is where, when a client is anxious, you overstimulate them being anxious. You, like, you create more anxiety until they have none left, if I remember correctly. A treatment procedure in which a client's anxiety is extinguished by prolonged real or imagined exposure to high intensity feared stimuli. Yeah. So it is extinguished because it gets too high. In vivo desensitization. I don't know this one. Carrying and movement through a hierarchy of anxiety from least to most anxiety provoking situations takes place in real settings. Modeling. Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's where somebody models what they want you to do or how they want you to appear, right? A method of instruction that involves an individual demonstrating the behavior to be acquired by a client. So that has to do with behavior. I'm a derp. Rational emotive therapy. It is a cognitively oriented therapy in which a social worker seeks to change a client's irrational belief by argument, persuasion, and rational reevaluation by teaching a client to counter self-defeating thinking with new, non-distrusting self-statements. I didn't know this one, so I just read it. Rational emotive therapy. Vaping. I don't know this one either. Dang it. A method used to train a new behavior by prompting and reinforcing successive approximations of the desired behavior. Systemic desensitization, which we already did. Timeout. Timeout is something that is done to children, or to people who have cognitive disabilities, oftentimes. It is a form of punishment. I can't remember what kind of punishment, though. Removal of something desirable, a negative punishment technique. Token economy. I don't know this one. I did know it though. The last time I answered it, it was kind of correct. A client receives tokens as reinforcement for performing specified behaviors. Tokens function as currency within the environment and can be exchanged for desired goods, services, or privileges. Acting out. I wish I knew how to word this one. Acting out. Yeah, I don't know how to word it. Emotional conflict is dealt with through actions rather than feelings. Instead of talking about feeling neglected, a person will get in trouble to get attention. Compensation. Nope. Enables one to make up for real or fancy deficiencies. For example, a person who stutters becomes a very expressive writer. A short man assumes a cocky, overbearing manner. Conversion. It's a defense mechanism. I don't know. Repressed urge is expressed as a disturbance of body function, usually of the sensory voluntary nervous system, such as pain, deafness, blindness, paralysis, convulsions, or tics. Decompensation, also a defense mechanism. Okay, so you're just gonna keep handing me defense mechanisms. We can do this. At least I can know that they're a defense mechanism. Jeez. Decompensation. No defenses. Deterioration of existing defenses. Close enough. I say that's a win. Denial. Also a defense mechanism. Which I know what it looks like in person and how to see it when somebody is doing it, but I don't know how to word it. Oh my god. These things make me feel stupid sometimes. Denial. Oh my god. not being willing to face fact, a primitive defense, inability to acknowledge true significance of thoughts, feelings, wishes, behavior, or external reality factors that are consciously intolerable. I don't know if I got that one. Devaluation. I don't know this one. Devaluation is a defense mechanism of people with borderline personality disorder in which a person attributes exaggerated negative qualities to self or another. It is a split of primitive idealization. Devaluation. Okay. Dissociation, which I hate because it has two definitions in here for dissociation. I don't know. Oh my goodness. My brain is not braining. A process that enables a person to split mental functions in a manner that allows him or her to express forbidden or unconscious impulses without taking responsibility for the action, either because he or she is unable to remember the disowned behavior or because it is not experienced as his or her own pathologically expressed as vague states, amnesia, or dissociative neurosis, or normally expressed as daydreaming. See, I don't like this definition. This definition is the one I don't like. I will indeed take a sip of hydration. Okay. Displacement. Directing an impulse, wish, or feeling towards a person or a situation that is not real. Thus permitting expression in a less threatening situation. I.e., a man angry at his boss kicks his dog. For example, idealization. Hi, Alma. Save me, Alma. You're a teacher. Tell me how to study better, Alma. I'm not kidding. You're my friend. Help me. I just feel so stupid. It does get boring. But that's why I stream it, because it's not as boring when it's streamed. It's like my motivation. I study for longer when I stream it. For whatever reason. I do break it up into smaller chunks. Do you see this timer? It's the Pomodoro method. It's supposed to be better. Yeah, the subjects I am studying is quite difficult as well. I'll give you that. Everybody's like, it's easy, it's common sense, it's common knowledge. I'm like, bitch, please. If that's the case, then you fucking get the degree. You fucking take the licensing exam. You see how easy it is. Yeah, I am not a math person. I am a psychology papers, research papers type person. This is much easier for me than math. And I still struggle with this. But to be fair, I have learning disabilities, so my memory is not, my memory is not the best. Idealization is overestimation of an admired aspect or attribute of another. So, admiring the attributes of another. Identification with the aggressor. I believe is taking on the actions of the aggressor to cope with the trauma of what the aggressor did. In other words, probably not the most scientific answer or politically correct way to word it or whatever, but It says mastering anxiety by identifying with a powerful aggressor, such as an abusive parent, to counteract feelings of helplessness and to feel powerful oneself, usually involves behaving like the aggressor. So, kind of got it. Incorporation. I don't know this one. Primitive mechanism in which psychic representation of a person or parts of a person are figuratively ingested. Oh yeah, this is the one that always bothered me. It's the way that it's worded. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? Inhibition. Oh my god. If I remembered the definition of some of these words, that would also help. Because I feel like some of them are the definition of the actual word. Not just like the action. Inhibition. No clue. Loss of motivation to engage in an activity, avoided because it might stir up conflict over forbidden impulses. Example, writing, learning, or writer's block. Introjection. Loved or hated external objects are symbolically absorbed within self. For example, in severe depression, unconscious, unacceptable hatred is turned towards self. Intellectualization. I know this one. Okay. So, intellectualization is where somebody... It's a defense mechanism. It is where somebody uses... Oh my god. Words, come on. Is where somebody uses their words, their facts, to separate the emotion out of everything. To, like, logic their way out of stuff. Where the person avoids uncomfortable emotions by focusing on facts and logic. Emotional aspects are completely ignored as being irrelevant. Often using complex terminology. Aha! I got one. Isolation of effect. I don't know this one either. Unacceptable impulse, idea, or act is separated from its original memory source, thereby removing the original emotional charge associated with it. projection. Can't use the definition to explain the definition. Break time. Brainy brain not brainin'. Okay, almost made it halfway through the flashcards, so at least I'm getting faster at reading them, which is good. That means that I'm getting faster at reading in general, and that will make it so that my exam doesn't take as long. So A+ on that. Because I went through 32 flashcards out of 87 in just 35 minutes, which is pretty good. Because I remember the first time that I did it, and I think I did like 20. It was pretty bad the first time I did it. Thank you, Alma. It is nice. Getting some improvement is better than no improvement. I'm trying to encourage myself. And after this, I'm gonna treat myself by having a cookie. Yes. Dance, dance, dance. We'll go dance. Somebody should do capybaras. Capybara. I love the capybaras. Oh, thank you, Ty. I appreciate your support. Capybara, 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 capybara. Capybara, 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 capybara. I love it. I can't help it. I know the pictures don't show up that great on this game, but it's fine. I don't think they show up that great on any of my games, to be honest, but... What? Alma, where the hell are you that you saw capybaras in real life? I am so jelly. So jelly. Did you feed them an orange? Or a melon? Are you allowed to feed them? I'm so jelly. Oh, they're wild capybaras, so you can't feed them. Okay. Okay, I guess. We feed squirrels here. We feed them peanuts. Even though they're wild. Okay. Last 35 minutes, folks. We got this. Ugh. Projection is a primitive defense attributing one's disowned attitudes, wishes, feelings, and urges to some external object or person. Projective identification is something that somebody with borderline personality has, if I remember correctly. And I can't remember anything else about it. A form of projection utilized by persons with borderline personality disorder, perceiving others' behavior as a reflection of their own identity. Rationalization. Oh my god. I swear I'm not stupid. My brain overcomplicating it. Rationalization. Yeah, nope. Okay. Giving a believable explanation for irrational behavior. Motivated by unacceptable unconscious wishes or by defenses used to cope with such wishes. What? The last part of that made no sense. My brain is not braining. The giving believable explanation for irrational behavior made sense. The rest of it made nothing. Reaction formation. I don't know this one either. Person adopts effects, ideas, attitudes, or behaviors that are opposites of those he or she harbors consciously or unconsciously. Regression. Oh, I know this one. Regression is going backwards in behavior to cope with something. A return to more infantile patterns of reacting to thinking can be in service to ego, such as dependency during illness. So kind of got that one. Repression. I know this one too. It's not. Repression. Nope. Expressed clinically by amnesia or symptomatically forgetting, serving to banish unacceptable ideas, fantasy, effects, or impulses from consciousness. Splitting is something that people with borderline personality do. It is perceiving something as all good or all bad. Correct. Haha. Got that one. Sublimation. Don't know that one. Potentially maladaptive feelings or behaviors are diverted into socially acceptable adaptive channels. Such as a person with anger channels them into athletics. Substitution. Don't know that one either. Unattainable or unacceptable goal, emotion, or object is replaced by one more attainable or acceptable. I knew that. Ugh. Symbolization. Don't know this one. A mental representation stands for some other thing, class of things, or attribute. This mechanism underlies dream formation and some other symptoms, with a link between the latent meaning of the symptom and the symbol, usually unconscious. Turning against self. Is exactly how it sounds. Being aggressive to oneself. Okay, I guess it's more complicated than that. A defense to deflect hostile aggression or unacceptable impulses from another to self. Undoing. Don't know this one. A person uses words or actions to symbolically reverse or negate unacceptable thoughts, feelings, or actions. Closed system. Don't know it. Uses up its energy and dies. What's that in reference to, though? Why is that not making any sense to me? I wish I knew what section that was from. Differentiation. Don't know this one either. Becoming specialized in structure and function. Entropy. I used to know what this one stood for. I don't anymore. Closed, disorganized, stagnant, using up available energy. Equifinality. Arriving at the same end from different beginnings. Homeostasis. I got this one correct last time. I know it is something that you want to achieve within a family. And that's all I got. Steady state. Okay. Input. Obtaining resources from the environment that are necessary to attain the goals of the system. Negative entropy. Exchange of energy and resources between systems that promote growth and transportation. Transformation. Open system. A system with cross-boundary exchange. What is cross-boundary exchange? I know I looked this up before. The movement of goods, services between individuals, businesses, and countries. A product of the system that exports to the environment. Subsystem. A major component of a system made up of two or more interdependent components that interact in order to attain their own purposes and the purpose of the system in which they are embedded. Suprasystem. An entity that is served by a number of component systems organized in interacting relationships. Throughput. Energy that is integrated into the system so that it can be used by the system to accomplish its goals. Role ambiguity. Is exactly how it sounds. I know it is. But I don't know how to word it. This was always my problem, by the way. And with research papers, like I had to use a thesaurus in school. I couldn't figure out how to word shit without looking it up. Oh my god. Like I know it. Ambiguity. Ambiguity is lack of clarity. So it would be a role lacking clarity. Yeah, lack of clarity of a role. Okay. God, that took way too fucking long. I'm fine. Oh. Role complementarity. Also probably what it sounds like. I didn't know how to word it, so without using the definition or the actual word. When something complements another thing, what does it do? Okay, this is taking too long. The role is carried out in an expected way. Role complementarity. The role is carried out in an expected way. That is not at all what I was thinking, but okay. Role discomplementarity.
would be the opposite of that, when a role is not carried out in a specific way. Role expectations of others differ from one's own. Well, role reversal. When people take on each other's roles. When two or more individuals switch roles. So, kind of. Role conflict. Incompatible or conflicting expectations. Ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is... Oh, I know this one. It's where you view your race or your ethnicity as better than another person's. Holding one's own culture, ethnicity, or racial group as superior to another's. Yeah. Stratification. Now, stratification is positive, I believe. I just can't remember it. No, it is not positive. I'm wrong. Structured inequality of categories who have unequal access to social rewards. It is really bad. I'm bad at this, you guys. Stratification is structured inequality, categories of people with unequal access to social rewards. Okay. Why did I think it was positive? Where's the one that is positive that sounds like it? Pluralism. A society in which diverse members maintain their own traditions while cooperatively working together and seeing others' traits as valuable. Maybe that's where I was thinking, was pluralism. Maybe I got them confused. But they sound nothing alike. Circulatory system. Circulatory system has to do with pumping blood through the body. The circulatory system is the body's transport system. It is made up of a group of organs that transport blood throughout the body. The heart pumps the blood and the arteries and the veins transport it. Digestive system. I don't know how to word this one. The digestive system is made up of organs that break down food into protein, vitamins, minerals, carbs, and fats. Immune system is made up of your white blood cells to fight diseases. The immune system is the body's defense system against infections and diseases. Organs, tissue, cells, and cells produce work together to respond to dangerous organisms. Lymphatic system is made up of lymph nodes. Well, and your lymph nodes are made up of white blood cells, apparently, because I forgot about that. It filters out organisms and diseases that produces white blood cells and generates disease-fighting antibodies. It distributes fluids and nutrients in the body and drains fluids and proteins so that tissues do not swell. Muscular system. Oh. It's made up of tissues that work with the skeletal system to control movement of the body. Some are voluntary and some are involuntary. Nervous system is made up of 3 things. I know this. 3 things. What 3 things? I don't got it. Brain, nerves, and spinal cord. Most important systems in the body's control system. It sends and receives nerve impulses throughout the body to tell muscles and organs what to do. Respiratory system is made up of lungs. And the trachea, and I can't remember what else. But it's not looking for that, apparently. The respiratory system brings air into the body and removes carbon dioxide. It includes the nose, trachea, and lungs. Okay, so I almost have it. The urinary system removes waste from the body. That's all I got. Yes, it eliminates waste from the body in the form of urine. And the kidneys remove waste from the blood. Okay. Comorbid. Good. We're moving away from body shit. Comorbid is co-occurring disorders. So two disorders at the same time. Existing with or at the same time, for instance, having 2 different illnesses at the same time. So it's not just disorders, it's illnesses. But anyway. Contraindicated. Contraindicated is referring to medication. It is... I don't got it. But I know that it's referring to medication. Not recommended or safe to use. Medication or treatment that is or would not be prescribed because it would have serious consequences. Delusion. A false and fixed belief system. Or not system, but just a false fixed belief. Disorientation is confusion with regard to person, time, or place, which I knew, but I read it anyway without actually trying. Dissociation is in regards to trauma. It affects memory. That's all I got. Disturbance or change in the usually integrated functions of memory, identity, perception, or consciousness seen in clients with a history of trauma. Ingenious depression. Endogenous depression. So, endogenous depression is please don't get this wrong. I need to get this right. I spent forever trying to figure out the differences in the depressions. It is a biochemical imbalance in the brain. Right? A depression caused by biochemical imbalance rather than a psychosocial stressor. Yeah. Okay. Exogenous depression is the psychosocial. So, depression caused by external events or psychosocial stressors. Folie de soie, or folie et doigt. I can't pronounce that. It's French. It means shared delusion. Every time I see it, I know what it stands for, but I'm like, because it's the only French thing in the flashcards. Hallucinations. Hearing, seeing, or smelling, or feeling something that is not real. Auditory is most common. See, I wasn't sure about the hallucinations anymore because, like, I couldn't remember how many different senses it included. Hypomanic. Hypomanic is something that does not include psychotic symptoms. It is also, I can't remember which bipolar it's associated to, whether it's bipolar 1 or bipolar 2, but it's associated to one of those. There is a difference between manic and hypomanic. And one is bipolar 1 and one is bipolar 2. Even though the book doesn't go into details and the flashcards don't go into details about that, I know that there's that difference in that because I've studied it. I just can't remember because My brain doesn't want to right now. Hypomanic. An elevated, expansive, or irritable mood that is less severe than full-blown manic symptoms. Not severe enough with functioning to be accompanied by psychotic symptoms. So I kind of got it right. Post-morbid is after the onset of illness. Pre-morbid is before the onset of illness. And I got those right. And psychotic is experiencing delusions or hallucinations. And I know that one by heart as well. And that's all the flashcards. So we actually succeeded that in much less time because it used to take me the whole time, you guys, to do the flashcards. So I'm very happy that we did that in an hour rather than 2 hours or 3 hours. Oh, that was rough. But on the plus side, I didn't forget some of them. I still remembered some of them. And I'm still retaining some. Ty has retreated to the bedroom. I'm outing him. He's Ebers. He has called me a traitor. Yes, I am a traitor. You have 8 minutes before you have to come back out here. He was napping on the couch even, you guys. He was snoring. Oh, you guys. I am so excited. So, fun news. You guys will find out whether or not I won the lottery to a house on Friday for my main character, for Final Fantasy. Or you may find out tomorrow if I decide to stream it tomorrow. I may be impatient and do that. Because the lottery finishes tomorrow. I'll probably post it on Discord as well. But, I have decided on a name for my cafe that I will be running out of the bottom of my basement. It's gonna be called Sunlit Sips. Because it's gonna be a tea house eatery. Oh yes, we stretch. I almost didn't hear that. But but yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I'm checking it today to see if there's any more people who've joined the lottery, to see if I'm still the only one. I'm hoping I am. 'Cause I don't want a 50-50 chance or a 75 chance or whatever chance. A what? Oh yeah, it's the opposite way. 33%. My brain is not braining. And proving my point that I'm really bad at math. Elma, don't say anything. You're probably laughing really hard right now. Yeah, exactly. Little froggy laugh at me. Oh my god. I swear, yeah, I am the most retarded when it comes to math. I had one of my friends be like, "Oh, you can't be that bad." then then we proceeded to try and math while at the grocery store. And she's like, "You know what? Never mind." I'm sorry I doubted you. Just never mind. uh, I was like, "Yep, that sounds about right." And this is why I always use a calculator. Okay, you guys, the stream is wrapping up. I appreciate you all for showing up. We started a little bit late today, so we went a little bit late today. It was wonderful to have you all here. I appreciate all the lurkers that came today, and all the people who chatted, and all the people who hung out and studied with me, or just did their own thing and body doubled and cracked down and got some of their own stuff done. I know it can be really challenging to get the motivation to do everything. And that's what these streams are for, is to really help people get that motivation. So, I am gonna skip the last minute or so and call it, just because it is 3 already. Ty says the lo-fi got him sleepy. I think it gets a lot of people sleepy. I don't know what it is about lo-fi for me, but it doesn't really get me. The studying gets me sleepy, not the lo-fi. The lo-fi actually slows down my brain enough to focus, because I have such my ADHD is so high, and like, so my brain is so fast paced and racing all the time, that like the lo-fi helps slow it down enough for me to be able to focus. So that's why I use lo-fi. And I don't really use other music because it quiets my mind. I know that it makes other people sleepy, but the studying is what makes me sleepy because it's boring. Anyway, I love you all, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day. Bye.